You know how everybody thinks that President Trump won the last election because he was so real and natural and authentic and he went on podcasts, right? Well, not really. I mean, podcasts did serve the president quite well because it showed him in very good light. It showed him being natural and authentic, but he's natural and authentic no matter what the setting, frankly. No, the real power of the podcast is that he could go over the heads of the corporate media and go direct to you, the viewer or listener, in the democratized new streaming media that we have, where I don't need a corporation to tell me that I can start a show, and you don't need a corporation to tell you what content is best suited to your needs. And most of the podcasts he went on were live or live to tape without any edits. Think about it. Kamala Harris did a 40-minute interview for 60 Minutes that they cut into 20 minutes, and she still looked like a buffoon. Donald Trump did 3 uninterrupted hours with Joe Rogan, and you ate it up. And there was no editing, and he just was who he was. Well, the lesson Democrats should have gotten from that is, hey, we need to be more authentic. We can't keep the voters and the American citizens. They see right through our lies. It's time to be real and tell it like it is. That should be the lesson for politicians, especially Democrats. Instead, the lesson they learned, I guess, was, oh, let's go on more podcasts. Come on, everybody, we're going to do podcasts. Ready to do a podcast? I'm going to do a podcast. Wait, I'm Gavin Newsom. I'm going to do one better. I'm going to start a podcast. Okay. But if you're still a phony fraud, it doesn't matter what platform you're on, you're still going to come across as a phony fraud. Let's cut then to Elizabeth Warren, who decided to go on a podcast. The one memo she didn't get was that most of us who host podcasts, we don't march in lockstep with the Dana Bashes and the Jake Tappers and the Rachel Maddows and the Kristen Welkers. We don't sound exactly the same. We don't read from teleprompters. We don't ask the exact same questions that fit right into your talking points. So she goes on this podcast, a liberal podcast, but she was asked a question she wasn't expecting, an obvious question. I guess that's why she wasn't expecting it, because on CBS or on ABC or on CNN, they never ask the obvious question. Watch what happened.
Saying that President Biden had a mental acuity. He had a sharpness to him. You said that up until July of last year.
I said what I believe to be true.
And you think he was as sharp as you?
So wait, all right, you know what? I'll let it run and then we'll come back because I know I don't want to interrupt it because there's so much here. Go ahead. Let's just watch it all the way.
I said I had not seen decline. And I hadn't at that point.
You did not see any decline from 2024 Joe Biden to 2021 Joe Biden?
Not when I said that. You know, the thing is, he was sharp. He was on his feet. I saw him live event. I had meetings with him a couple of times.
Senator, on his feet is not praise. He can speak in sentences is not praise.
All right. Fair enough. Fair enough. Look, the question is, what are we going to do now?
Okay.
All right. So now that's the 1-minute clip that went viral yesterday, and a lot of people saw it, or maybe you're just seeing it for the first time. There's actually more to this that we're going to watch because it doesn't get any better for her when she effectively changes the subject and says, no, the important thing is what are we going to do next? All right, we're going to watch that, but I do want to watch a couple of little bits here real fast in this first segment. By the way, I just want to say, I don't know what you're doing with your skincare regimen or whatever it is. Maybe it's the hair, but Zach Galifianakis, you look great. Is that how you pronounce his name? I've never been able to pronounce his name, but this is Between Two Ferns, right? Is this a satire podcast? What's with the set here? It's Between Two Ferns, and they're obviously plastic. Look, there's a price tag on that one. All right. So we're going to watch this together, and I got to ask, does she know there's a camera? Like when she walked in there and said, oh, it's a podcast. I listen to those from NPR, and she just thinks they're audio only. Did she not notice that there are cameras and lights? Because watch her here. She's acting like she's trying to like send this guy body signals like, hey, dude, don't be asking me these questions.
That President Biden had a mental acuity. He had a sharpness to him. You said that up until July of last year.
I said what I believe to be true.
And you think he was as sharp as you?
What is that? What was that? She started to laugh because she was confronted with her own lie. Does she not know we can see her? Senator, I know that you're used to like Native American technology, but I think even they have cameras at this point. That was offensive. Come on. It's a camera. We see you laughing. All right. And then watch after she gives another bull answer, watch her, facial gesture to the interviewer, like, take that. To stop pushing me on this. Okay. There's your answer. Move on. Watch.
I said I had not seen decline.
Did you see that? Did you see that? I said I had not seen decline. Let's leave it at that, pal. See, but of course, this guy is either brilliant or clueless, or maybe he's just an independent thinker and he doesn't do the typical network thing where you just go with it. Oh, okay. Well, we don't want to go there, right? What did Michael Stranahan do with the woman who had accused the MS-13 dude? Well, I'm not going to press you on that, certainly. I won't press you on the one issue that everybody cares about. So he ain't getting it. He's playing dumb, I think.
And I hadn't at that point.
You did not see any decline from 2024 Joe Biden to 2021 Joe Biden?
Not when I said that. The thing is, look.
She's like, how do I get out of this? No one's ever challenged me on this. I've said my talking point. It's what my comms person said they'll all accept. No one's followed up. No one's ever followed up. And then and don't forget, Elizabeth Warren is one of the smartest of them all. They tell us that all the time. And so she's searching her brain. She's trying to come up with the only correct answer she can deliver. And somewhere in the back of her head, when everybody knew that Joe Biden couldn't be president for his first term, let alone for his second term, somewhere in there, somebody had said that, you know what, Joe Biden's actually pretty quick on his feet. But it got mangled in her cerebral cortex. Maybe she's been smoking the peace pipe too much and she's killed some of the gray matter. But Joe Biden being able to think on his feet turned into this.
He was sharp. He was on his feet. I saw him. Live event. I had meetings with him a couple of times.
Senator, on his feet is not praise. He can speak in sentences is not praise.
All right. Fair enough.
He could actually stand without assistance. And by the way, that wasn't always true either. All right, moving on. She says, what's important is what do we do next? All right, so this is her chance to pivot, to change the subject. Watch what happens. It doesn't get any better.
And what we're going to do now is we got 47 of us in the Senate. And we are pulling ourselves together because it increases our power. We don't have as much power as we want, but we don't have no power. And we got to use all of our tools in the toolbox to do as much as we humanly possibly can. This is now for all the marbles, Sam. And I get it. We could go back.
Last time was for all the marbles, I thought.
I get it.
In 2020, it was the soul of the nation.
I understand.
How many times is it going to be for all the marbles? Can we just have a normal election?
I'd love that.
How many marbles are there?
We got a guy right now who is saying that he's flirting with not obeying lawful court orders. But what he's doing is like a whole nother level of threat to the survival of our democracy and more of the.
I'm not trying to make light of that.
I know you're not. And what I'm trying to do is say, God dang, we can spend our time looking backwards and saying, you know what parts we didn't get right? Fine. And I'll stipulate, you can have it. But the question is, what are we going to do now? What tools have we got? How much can we herd our Democrats together? And how much can we get real power in this moment by getting people across the country to weigh in on their Social Security cuts, weigh in on the Department of Education cuts, weigh in on the healthcare cuts.
Damn, that was some pretty Kamala-esque word salad at the end there. Talk easy, Sam Fragoso. Good for him, honestly. I mean, he acquiesced there, but he pushed a bit and he got something out of her. She won't go on a podcast like this because it would be unrelenting and nothing but questions like that. But I do love this whole idea. It's like, but Trump's a fascist. Oh, there's a new thing. Oh, I hadn't heard that before. That'll work. You should have used that during the campaign. Oh, that's right, you did. So she finally says, because he's like, oh, please, it's been for all the marbles for every election of my lifetime, which is true. That's what they always say. If we lose this could be the last election of our lifetime. Remember that in 2024, this is the last free election we'll ever have. He won, and all they're doing is talking about the next election. They're all vying and jockeying to run in the next election, which I thought wasn't going to happen if Trump won the last one. But see, Elizabeth Warren misses the biggest point of all because she's saying, none of that's the point. We can look in the rearview mirror, but none of that's the point. Because right now I'm telling you A, B, and C, and you have to do what I think we should do about A, B, and C. Otherwise, D, E, and F is going to happen. But here's what she doesn't get. And here's not what any of the other Democrats get who won't confront this. And here's what all the media people and the teleprompter readers won't get if they don't confront it. You won't admit you lied. You won't admit you lied about the single most important issue of 2024. I mean, you also lied about the most important issue of 2020 when it came to COVID. But you all lied about Biden's health. And you want us to just forget that. You won't even admit that you lied. And you want it to all go away and then say, trust me now on A, B, and C and my concerns about D, E, and F. And I'm like, dude, you lied about the big kahuna. You confront that. You face that. You fix that. And maybe I'll listen to you about A, B, and C. A couple of other very interesting things about this clip that you just watched. It was posted by none other than, oh, you can't make this up, our buddy Jake Tapper, the only serious journalist in town. Interesting moment between Senator Warren and Sam Fragoso on Talk Easy Pod regarding President Biden. Really, that's all you got to say, Jake? Interesting? Well, it is interesting. The fact that they didn't take the price tag off of the fake palm, I guess, is interesting. The content of the conversation, it's not interesting. It's enraging. What network does Jake Tapper work for again? I'm trying to remember. It's on the tip of my tongue. Oh, that's right. It's CNN. Okay, so you just saw this clip. You just saw this exchange between Sam Fragoso and Elizabeth Warren about the lies regarding Joe Biden's health, right? You just saw it. And you just saw that it was tweeted out to the world on X by Jake Tapper of CNN, right? You see that too, right? Okay. Here's CNN. The video on top, this is put together by our friend. This is Maze, right? Is this Maze?
Yep.
Yeah, good job, Maze Moore. Subscribe to his channel on X. The top clip is Kaitlan Collins on Jake Tapper's CNN the day before the CNN debate between Biden and Trump.
President Biden has spent days locked in intense preparation, surrounded by his closest advisors at Camp David. And our sources are telling us tonight that full mock debates are underway at the podium, under the lights. He's even watching tape to know exactly what he's going to see when he steps up to that lectern. His team shot a video during a walkthrough of the CNN studio. And as I reported while covering him at the White House, when Biden prepares, he does so incredibly intensively.
So just how worried were Biden aides before the former president's disastrous debate last summer? According to Ron Klain, his chief of staff, his concerns could not be overstated. At his first meeting with Biden for debate prep, quote, Klain was startled. He'd never seen Biden so exhausted and so out of it. Biden was unaware of what was happening in his own campaign. Halfway through the session, the president excused himself and went off to sit by the pool. Part about the pool, he went off, this is in the middle of debate prep, went off to the pool and he took a nap.
Also CNN, by the way. So that clip of Kaitlan Collins the day before the debate where she says that her sources tell her that the president had engaged in intense debate coverage, and boy, he's really going at it, and he's all over it, and he's doing it. And now it turns out he was taking naps by the pool. So here's what real journalists do, Kaitlan. And I know that you used to be a young, scrappy journalist when you worked for the Daily Caller, when Tucker Carlson gave you your first big break. And now you work for a network that calls Tucker Carlson the worst possible things you can call anybody. You are quite the ungrateful person, aren't you? But Kaitlan, if you can just put your young, budding journalist hat back on, it wasn't that long ago. Listen to me, please. Your sources burned you. Your sources lied to you. Your sources made you look like a lying propagandist hack. And here's what we do in journalism. When a source tells us something that is obviously a lie, you go back on your exact same platform at the exact same time that you repeated that lie from your source, and you say, listen, this is what I said in June about Biden's debate prep. And my sources told me that, and my sources lied to me. And here's who my sources are. This is their name. This is this source. This is this source. This is what they were doing at the time. But you won't do that, will you? Because you want to keep your sources, because they might work for the next president, or maybe they work for a senator right now. Maybe they work for Obama right now, and you want to get more little juicy tidbits. Of course, the next juicy tidbits you get could be lies too. But you don't care about that either, do you? You just want to be able to sit up there with your teleprompter and your hairdo and say, my sources tell me, because she's got sources. No, she's got people who feed her lies knowing that she'll repeat them. What you do is you say, these were my sources. They were wrong. I will never trust them again. And I apologize to you, my viewer. I'll be better next time. That ain't going to happen. That ain't going to happen at all. Do you know the other reason why she doesn't want to reveal her sources? Because when we find out who they are, we'll realize that they're a joke and that she should have never trusted them in the first place. If, big if, there are sources. I mean, it could have been Hunter. Let's face it. But I shouldn't pile on Kaitlan Collins. She and her network have become, well, literally a joke. Babylon Bee today. CNN says behind closed doors, Pope is still focused, sharp, and energetic, and preparing for the upcoming Pentecost Mass. I know I've been hard on CNN, but I'm not going to stop. CNN's got this guy again, the Irish radical who likes to cover far-right extremism in America because there's no extremism for him to cover back in Ireland. Now he's interviewing conservative reporters who have gotten a chance to get into the press briefing room and ask questions. And he made a big mistake. He found Natalie Winters of War Room and asked her a question that she was ready for.
To the people, and I'm sure you see this online every single day, who say you don't deserve to be here because you're not a real journalist. What's your response to them?
Well, I'm pretty sure the group of people in there spent, 4 years covering for someone who was essentially dead, and that's being charitable in my description of him, a president by the name of Joe Biden. So to all those people who are apoplectic over having new media voices, you guys failed, and that's why we're here.
The chair of the White House
That's dead on right. And that's that. I love that CNN is now put themselves in a position to judge who's an appropriate, truthful, responsible, professional journalist. And they've decided that Natalie Winters or maybe our team from Town Hall who are at the White House on a regular basis, or the team from Daily Signal or any other of the new upstart conservative media outlets, they're not real journalists. But CNN, as we've just laid out for you, they're the real journalist, especially when it comes to covering Joe Biden's health in the last election. Why would you trust any of the reporters that covered the Biden White House? In fact, every network should have cleaned house and started with fresh new people. That was a great moment from Natalie Winters. I only have one other suggestion. It would have been great if right after he asked the question, you said, okay, I'll answer, but hey, the eyes are up here, pal. The eyes are up here. I think that'd been great. That's just me talking though.